talking about taste. So taste, and somebody asked me if we were having to do Play-Doh models of the tongue and all the other senses. No. Well, the big ones that you need to know are the eye and the ear. So there's no model for the taste or for the tongue. Okay. Taste is obviously the inside, the bumps on inside your mouth, the bumps on your tongue. Okay, so the bumps on your tongue, and there's also, did you know that there's also taste receptors on the top of the roof of your mouth, the sides of your mouth, on the sides of your cheek, the insides of your cheek. But inside these bumps, okay, and inside the bumps on your tongue are taste receptors. Okay, some being more sensitive to other specific tastes than others. Okay, and what you will find is that people are different as to what kinds of tastes they like. Now, do you know there are 5 tastes? Okay, what are the 5 tastes?
Sweet, sour, salty, bitter.
Okay, so sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami.
/ savory.
Yes, umami. I have a picture of it in just a second. So taste receptors reproduce themselves every week or so. So they will reproduce. So that way, like for example, if you burned your tongue or you burned the roof of your mouth, they will grow back. It'll be better. It'll be okay. The only problem is that just like everything else, as you age, okay, they don't regrow as much. Okay, so that's why, for example, older people, okay, have a hard time with taste. Okay, they have a hard time distinguishing taste. So sometimes they like things that are very bland, or they like things that are very maybe is one or the other. They usually go with things that are really, really bland, or stuff that is like they like things burnt because they can taste it. It's a very distinct flavor. Okay. What else do I say? Sensory interaction enhances or diminishes our taste. So as you could see from the jelly bean activity, when you could see it, when you could taste it and smell it, okay, it all adds to our taste. Okay? It all adds to our taste, and so it will all add to our taste to the point of that you will actually be given a taste together. So keep in mind that, if you have a head cold, for example, and you go and taste, we have sweet, such as sugar and chocolate, salty, obviously salt, sour, vinegar, lemon, bitter, coffee, bitter gourd, and then umami is soup stock, combo. There's a lot of different weird things in with umami, and that is a unique flavor that. All right. So like I said, smelling, I love this picture, French fries, right? French fries have a smell. You can smell them when or the grease just, smell. How do we smell? Okay, so first of all, how do we smell? Just generally, biologically, how do we smell? Well, the molecules of a substance that you're smelling will actually travel through the air to the receptor or olfactory cells, that's the nose hairs, okay, at the top of your nose, okay, inside of your nose, and those little hair cells, okay, those are the little receptor cells that kind of look like hairs. Those are what actually are receptor cells that will send the information to your brain. So these olfactory cells wave and respond selectively. So they will respond to whatever it is that the molecule or the substance is that's going up your nose. And then they will respond and they will send pretty much information to your brain, and your brain will then go and try and make sense of that smell. So obviously, when we did the little smell test, okay, some of those smells may be more familiar to you than others, and some of them, as you notice, that have a stronger smell than others. Essentially, what it looks like is that we have our molecules going up our nose and going up the nasal cavity, and it will actually activate those olfactory cells, and it will bring it to your brain. Anosmia is the inability to smell. Do you know anybody who has either all the way completely diagnosed anosmia or slight anosmia where they can't smell? Nobody knows something like that?
My mom knows someone who got a nose job, and after they got a nose job, they totally lost their sense of smell.
Ooh, that would suck. What's the downside of not being able to smell?
Besides, you can't taste. You won't be able to smell a natural gas thing in your house.
Yep, that is a huge thing. Is they will not be able to smell, for example, warning things like natural gas or like burning, smell, yeah, smoke. You can't smell that because oftentimes you smell that before you can actually see it.
You can't, it sounds kind of weird, you can't like smell yourself, see if you like are.
Very true. You cannot smell yourself if you know, like for example, oh God, I need more deodorant today or something. You know, you can't smell those things. Now other people look at it from a good standpoint of you can't smell the bad stuff either. You can't smell the farts or farts, or people that have bad hygiene. I know you've had this before. You go to talk to somebody and you're that close enough that you can smell their breath.
Or they like pull the door
Just in
open
this
or
junk.
something, like,
Yes,
you know.
yes, that can be.
Okay.
Yes. So the point is that obviously anosmia, it sounds like people are just like, oh, that's not a big deal. It's not as big of a deal as if you were blind or if you're deaf. But anosmia can be a really big thing because it impacts not only your taste but also all those other things that we just mentioned that could negatively impact you.
I'd rather be deaf than lose my sense of smell. Really?
Yeah.
Because everything's visual now. You can just sign,
True.
like, you can sign and you can feel vibrations. It's
There's
like-
there's lots of what do I want to say?
Yeah, you could. You could sign and
Yeah.
if you lost it later in life, then you can still talk. So you can hear what you're saying. Yeah, but I have a really sensitive sense of smell, so I would miss it a lot.
I was gonna say some people like it more than others. So think about all those things that you smell, not only food, but other things that would be gone. All right. Lastly, effects of fragrances. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I
this-
read an article about this. That
Oh.
If you're in the same place, if you study in the same place that you're about to take a test in, like you'll do better if it's the same smell.
Like if it's from like certain types of lotion or study or when you
Yep.
or like
Yeah, it helps
or
you
like
better.
listen to music right for the test.
Same music,
Yep.
Same gum.
same gum.
Same environment. Effects of fragrances. Effects of fragrances. This is interesting. Okay, first of all, women are better generally at smelling and detecting smells than men, generally speaking. I'm not saying that guys in here didn't perform better on a smell test than girls, but generally speaking, women do better than men. Okay. Now, the interesting thing is that I read a bunch of things in here. There has been studies that specifically look at gender-related odors, and so. It's interesting from the standpoint of you all know that you have an individual smell yourself, like a natural body odor that's not like a bad odor. It's just
Your smell.
yes, your smell. Okay. So the interesting thing is that there have been tests where there's been psychologists. I wanted to read this to make sure I have it specifically right. Where they had a specific psychologist, Patricia Wallace, who went to look and see if a person is can we tell if a person is male or female on the basis of odor alone? So she did this test where she said that she blindfolded men and women, and they had to sniff a hand held 1 inch, half inch from their nose. The men and women who served as test stimuli washed their hands thoroughly before the experiment and then wore a plastic glove for 15 minutes prior to testing to promote perspiration. Wallace reported that her participants could discriminate male from female hands with over 80% accuracy. Female sniffers were more accurate than male sniffers, like I said. The other thing that another psychologist did, Michael Russell, he had college freshmen wear t-shirts for 24 hours, after which the shirts were individually placed in sealed containers. Each student was then presented with 3 containers, one holding his or her own shirt, one holding a second shirt, a second shirt holding a shirt of an unknown female, and a third shirt holding a shirt of an unknown male. Okay? The vast majority were able to identify not only that their own shirt, but also which belonged to a female and which belonged to a male. Kind of interesting.
There's one that says that that like they like did like different ages and like male and female and tried to ask people which was like the most pleasant and the least pleasant. And the least pleasant was like an old man.
Yeah.
Or the most pleasant was like an old man and the least pleasant was like a young-ish male, I think.
Okay. Yes.
When they did this, like the men and women, were they allowed to wear like birthday every year?
No, it doesn't say. I'm guessing that they probably, I don't know, it may have probably just told them to do what they normally do. And I'm guessing that they obviously all wore like the same shirt, you know, like the same style or design shirt. So you couldn't tell by just looking at it. Other things can affect you biologically. This is interesting. Okay, you know about pheromones, right? Okay, so pheromones are the smell, the individual smell, and obviously with animals, okay, animals have actually been attracted to the opposite sex based off of their pheromones and the smell that the male or female of that particular species gives off. So the interesting thing was, this is kind of weird. There was studies that looked at specifically if we have human pheromones. So it says that there was a psychologist at the University, I gotta read this is amazing. The University of Chicago, McClintock and another colleague, Kathleen Stern, recruited a group of 29 women and asked 9 of them to wear pads under their arms for several hours, either before or just after ovulation. So before or after they had their period. Okay? When the pads were then wiped under the noses of other women, the results were startling. I know this sounds disgusting, but the results were startling. Smelling the pre-ovulation pads shortened their menstrual cycles by as many as 14 days. So basically they're saying it caused the women that just smelled it, okay, to go and have their period quicker than what they were scheduled to.
But ovulation is where ovulation is when your period. Ovulation is halfway to your period.
Yes, but there are
So they
obviously,
had it 2 weeks early?
yeah.
It's
So they
when
basically had their
it
period then like 2 weeks later.
So while ovulation pads increase cycles as many as 12 days, McClintock is continuing her research with an eye on possible applications. Pheromone treatments designed to regulate ovulation could serve as fertility enhancers for couples who want to conceive and as contraceptives for those who don't. So the interesting thing was is that it can affect you biologically from the standpoint of, have you ever heard of that? That women who live together, their cycles oftentimes time.
Dogs do the same thing and wolves do the same
Okay.
thing.
This is what's happening. Now, the other thing that happens is that it can go and affect your productivity. Okay? There has been studies that looked at if you have a specific smell in your workplace, like you were mentioning with taking tests or quizzes, if you have a specific smell in your workplace, it can actually make you more productive. There was a study that said that the most pleasant smelling items, I gotta find it here. Tested dozens of smells. The most pleasant smelling items were, I lost it. Lemon and light floral had a broad appeal. Pine was the least popular order, and they found that when they actually pump these into a workplace, it can affect productivity. However, you cannot tell the workers that this is what you're doing and why you're doing it, because otherwise people will kind of act in disregard of that to try and disprove the theory, if that makes sense. Okay? So, tomorrow what we will do is that you guys will go and you guys will take a look at putting this all together in perceptual organization. Smells. Okay? As well as you look at that article on synesthesia. Okay, questions?